Studio One is unique among DAWs in that it provides a platform from which we can actually master and publish our songs from. And this can all be done within the project page. Now, covering the mastering process is beyond the scope of this tutorial, but we are going to take a brief look at the project page so that you can be aware of some of its features as well as its layout. Now, we can access the project page by clicking on Project up above. If we don't have one active, then we're going to be presented with the Create a New Project dialog. We can also click on Create a New Project here, which I'll do. Now we have our new project window. I'll go ahead and name this Tutorial Project. We can choose a location. I'm actually going to select the desktop. We can choose a sample rate for our project. And then if we have a DDP image that we'd like to import our tracks from, we can check this box here. I'll go ahead and click OK. Now let's just start from the top and make our way across. In the top left corner, we have an area where we can input our album name as well as our artist. Now we have an arrow that we can click to input more meta information for our album. At the bottom, we can actually input an image there. I'll go ahead and close that back up. Now this empty space here is our track column, so any songs that we bring into our project will be listed here, and we can select them from here to add inserts to as well as reorder. So let's actually bring in a few songs. We have a browse button in the bottom, so if I click on that, we're taken to our browser. Now, if all of your songs are stored within the Studio One folder, you can actually come to Files, choose the Studio One. You can see here is our songs folder. If we expand that out, then we can see I have these two tracks within my Studio One song folder, and we can actually drag these in and they'll automatically be rendered down and placed in our track lane. But I've actually created a folder on my desktop with a song that I'm going to use. It's this tutorial mix here. If I expand that out, we can see this is the actual song file. So let me come to the desktop here for tutorial. Then we can see here's that song folder for Studio One. If I open that up, we can see we have our song file. So this is the same thing. I'm actually going to just drag this in to the track lane, and it's asking us to update. When I click OK, it's going to render this track down. So our song has been rendered and it is now placed in the track lane down below. And within this same folder, I have two WAV files, two other tracks that are not song files, and we can just simply drag those in as well. And I'll drag this third one in so we have something going on. And then I'll actually close out the browser. And let's click, hold, and drag in our ruler to expand out our view. So now we have three tracks within our project. You can see that these are staggered vertically in case you ever wanted to overlap any songs. We also have the three of them listed within our track column, and we can select each one. And then here, we can add inserts to the individual tracks in this area here by clicking on the plus button. So if I wanted to add, say, Pro EQ, that's then loaded up on our tutorial mix here. If I select the avenue, we can see that there are no inserts on that. Also on the Wonderlust. Now, if I wanted to add the Pro EQ to one of these other tracks, I could simply click, hold, and drag that. And now when I select the avenue, we can see that Pro EQ is on that as well. Now below the inserts for our individual tracks, we have a master section. And so any inserts or any effects that we put into post are going to be applied to every song or track that we have within the project. Just below that, we have our output where we're going to be monitoring from, and that's going to the outs on my audio card at the moment. We have faders for our individual tracks as well as for our master channel. If we'd like to add information to the individual tracks, then we can come over to these down arrows and just click once, and then we can see we have all of these fields that we can input information. Now, if you've input that information in your actual song within Studio One, that will be populated for you, and you don't have to worry about that. And one other thing while we're here in the track column, you can tell we have this icon here. That's going to show that we brought this track in as a song file and it was rendered down. And the wrench icon is going to show the status of if we have the latest version for that song, and we do because this is a white wrench. Now, if I were to come to that song by clicking on song here, let's open up the console, and I'm just going to adjust a couple of these faders. And let's come back to our project page. Let me save this first. I'll come back to the project page. And now we can see the wrench has turned red, and we have a red circle here indicating that we've made changes to our song and we are no longer working with the most up-to-date version of that song. So we could click on the wrench here, and then that's going to update the song for us. Now we can rearrange the order of our tracks within the track column here, and that will reflect in the track lane. We would just simply click, hold, and drag, and then we can see that this is updated down below. We can also click, hold, and drag to adjust the tracks in the track lane like so. If we click on the track marker or right click, we can actually click and open up the color palette and change that to a different color. We can rename our track. Combine with the next track, we can bounce, detect loudness, cut, copy, delete, and duplicate. Now we have our track markers here, and these will tie in with the forward and back. So as I click the back button, we're taken to the individual tracks, the track markers. We can see that there. And we can change the location of these markers just by clicking and dragging. Now, if we have a live event that we've brought in a audio file of a live event, and there are several different songs and it's one long file, we can actually position our cursor in the area where we'd like to insert a new marker, and then right click, split track at cursor, and now we have a new marker. So in this way, if we had, say, a 45-minute long audio file of a live event and we wanted to add specific markers throughout it, we can just use that method. Now these markers are only going to apply if we are going to burn an audio CD or create a image or DDP image of our tracks. If we're going to be doing a digital release, then they're each going to be bounced down individually. And so speaking of which, at the top we can come up to burn to create our Redbook audio CD. And we're presented with a window where we can choose our particular device that we'd like to use, as well as the speed and some other options here. I'll go ahead and cancel that out. Now we can create an image, a DDP image, as well as a digital release. If I click on the digital release, then we can select which tracks we'd actually like to render. We can choose the location, the format, whether it's MP3, WAV, and so on, the bit rate, sample rate, and some other options below. I'll go ahead and cancel out of here. Now to the right of our digital release, we can see a meter here, or a display that's going to show us how much of the 80 minutes for our CD we're actually using. Currently we're at 7 minutes and 35 seconds. And just below that we have our 3 meters that are available within the project page. We have a spectrum meter here, a level meter, and then a phase meter. And in the center between these two, we have a loudness display, and this is going to show real-time loudness information in LUFS or LU. We can just simply choose between those two by clicking here. Now, if I go ahead and play a track back, I just wanted to show that we have different options for our spectrum meter. We have 3rd octave, 12th octave. And you can see we have a virtual keyboard here, and as I hover, we can see the actual note, C3, the hertz, and the level. So a lot of useful information. FFT. So a lot of different options to choose from. We can freeze our waterfall. And then for our level meter, we have a few options. Right now we're on peak. I can choose K20, 14, 12, and EBU. And so there are a lot of useful features within the project page, and it's a tremendous help for any projects that we'd like to get mastered. And the integration between the project page and the song page is excellent. So this is definitely an area where you would like to, or would want to spend more time becoming familiar with. Check out the help files for it if you plan on doing some of your own mastering for yourself or for others.